Thanks. Let's jump right into the issues. I see Nadia is not attending due to a meeting conflict, so let's move on without her for now. UX research issues in progress right now. First up is discuss the proposed solution validation for add cancel rollout button. Have you put this here, or did I? I
don't think I put anything in the agenda. I'm very bad about that.
So this was suggested, I think, by you and Nadia to say, hey, let me see. Oops, actually, this will follow. So I created a solution validation issue. I have yet to look into this issue a bit more, like the original issue, to be implemented. So the idea here is to do a solution validation based on the fact that we have a solution already, right? Add buttons for stop and rollback, should redeploy the last successful deployment.
Let me give you a little bit of background about what this is talking about. So following all the research we did for post-deployment monitoring, we decided to add alerts to the environment page to show someone that something is wrong with their deployment. And then they can take action on it. So they can halt the rollout or they can roll back. This is all done from the environment page. And when I thought about it, I was like, hey, wait a minute. We're leveraging the alerts in order to do this. Why not do the reverse? Why not go to the alerts page? And if there's an alert, do the same action, stop or halt the rollout. And I suggested this to Sarah, who's the PM for Monitor, and she thought that was a great idea. And then there started this whole discussion inside the threads with the designer from there who said, maybe this isn't the right place, maybe we should put it somewhere else. Maybe there's specific alerts that we don't take action on, so maybe it needs to be in a global place. So this kind of needs solution validation as to where the right place to put it. It's definitely a smart idea to do that. Just the question is where.
All right, sounds good. In terms of how we want to solution validate that, like Laura, do we think we can set this up as an asynchronous UX research, like as in like that we can just push this out without having to be there in synchronous interview sessions?
I don't know. I would want to know. I wish we had like usertesting.com, because if we did, we could get, it would get recorded and we could ask them to tell us why they like one versus the other option. As far as I know, Qualtrics doesn't record a video, so you'd have to hope that they typed in an answer to the question. Because you can show them a screen in Qualtrics, you can show them a picture, and you can ask them a question, and you can hopefully hope that they get an answer. We can try it and see, because that's the critical part. You want to see like which one do you prefer and why, because that's where you're going to get the reasoning behind putting it wherever we decide to put it. So we can certainly try it. I'd like the idea of having like more than 5 people give us some feedback on this, because differences. But
I think we can go into an internal group. It's just figuring out what people would press and why, and where they expect things. So we have some smart people in the company.
Well, it's not smart or not smart. It's just like preferences, I think, at this point, really is what we're trying to understand, right? So we can totally do it with internal folks, as long as you feel like they're not going to bring more to the picture than a regular customer would who doesn't work internally here. And I mean, meaning like assumptions or anything like that, or expectations.
What do you think, do you think internal users are gonna be reflective of our target audience here?
I think so, because most of them weren't born in GitLab, so they have previous experience. I do think it's better to do personally synchronous sessions so people can walk through and voice what they're doing. I haven't done many solution validations here at GitLab, but the few that I have, it was really valuable. And we changed a bunch of stuff based on the fact that people have said, oh, I expected it to be here. Oh, I thought that this would do this. So I think that's something that you don't gain in asynchronous.
Yeah, you can try to ask them, like I said, like in the survey or whatever, and when you present the idea of the design, you can ask them and hope that they answer you, or hope that you get enough information from their answer. That's probably the better statement.
Okay.
So yeah, what we can do is we can try the survey tactic first and see what we're getting back. And if we're not getting good data or we're getting questionable data, we can then stop that and switch and just talk to people. I think it would be a very quick session. If there's something else we could pair it with, we could do that too.
What do you think, Orit?
So again, my personal preference, but it's not up to me because you're the DRI, would be to do like pull up several options and have people go through them and see what the easiest one was to follow.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Let me get this information into the dedicated solution validation issue, and then I'll ping you there both. I think, to be honest, for a quick internal investigation, planning, a few synchronous sessions just for a few minutes, like 10-minute increments, is very doable. Like the way that I was thinking about this is that if we want to, bring in participants, like external participants, just for like a 5-minute task, that is kind of like not worth the time, and like like we give them like a huge bounty for just 5 minutes of work. Like, yeah, it's like I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, cool. I'll work this into the issue and move forward, most likely with internal quick sync sessions. Cool. A/B testing guide. Again, I've been saying this before. This will be the week I'll complete it. I have been delaying this because of other priorities. So I want to have a quick discussion about prioritization of UX research work versus feature work that is targeting the immediate milestone or ahead. I know we want to move towards that ideal state where we do not have to worry about that anymore. But how do you see the priority of UX research versus feature work that needs to target, the immediate milestone? Like, for example, currently we're almost going to go into 13.2. In 13.2, I'll need to work on stuff that will target milestone 13.3. On the other hand, if we never focus on UX research, then that does not get done. So I want to see like, hey, what is a good way you would like me to think about, now it's the time to focus on UX research versus the others. This is a work in progress for me as well. I'm trying my best here, but there's a lot of things that, fall on my plate. So I think it's interesting to have at least your opinion on this.
I don't mean to be blunt, but you need to do both because that's your job.
I understand, totally understand.
The priorities, we're all juggling a bunch of things in the air. And there's always the important things and the urgent things. And you don't want to be in a situation where you're only doing urgent things. So it's how you balance your time. And I don't think that I'm the right person to answer how to do that. Maybe take that with other designers.
My advice is that everybody has to stop working at 100% that they were before. You have to start cutting back on both pieces, so then they both add up to 100%. Because if you're doing 100% of research and 100% of design, that's 200%. And you can't keep it up. Nobody can keep it up. Product can't, design can't. So the overall velocity has to change to accommodate the additional activities that have to happen. And that's the hardest part that I've seen from everybody who I talk to at this company, because they're like, well, I used to be able to do X, Y, and Z in a milestone, and now I'm struggling to do that and A, B, C, D. Well, yeah, because you're doing a whole bunch of other stuff. So it's kind of trying, you have to reframe it. You have to say, I cannot do this much. I can do this much because I also have to do this. And it's hard because the business is depending on the assumptions that we made 8 months ago about how much people can get done. And we just have to shift that. We have to start saying, well, I've got to do problem validation, or I've got to do solution validation. And that's going to cut down on the amount of design work that I can get done, amount of product work that I can get done as well.
But I also want to emphasize that we can, like everything in GitLab, iterate. So,
yes,
you know, if you're unhappy with the guide for A/B testing, maybe there's just too much of it, and we can cut down scope. Because
yeah, like I need to work in your additional questions. That is the last remaining task. Then recruiting needs to be started, and then it's go time. So the way that I was thinking about it was, like I'm next 2 weeks in quarantine. I have all the time to put, on whatever we want. So like, let's jam it down in those 2 weeks, and I'll get it out of the door within no time.
Yeah. So I just think we need to scope things out, because it's really hard to plan these discussion guides, because there's plan and then there's reality. So it's a really good base for when you start the interview, but then every interview takes its own course, and it's just there as a guideline, and the interview itself takes its own life. So I think,
well, but the discussion guide is there for guideline, but it's also there to make sure that you're getting the answers that you've come into the interview to get.
yes.
So it's a little bit more than just a guideline. Like it's stuff like you need to walk away, like, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. You need to see that you have like the questions that you want answered are answered. Yeah. But sometimes someone will give you something that you didn't think about, and you're gonna like jump on that, and you'll learn like a bunch of things that are off script. So in that sense, I think, the discussion guide is a great tool. But if that's what's holding you back, maybe start one interview with what you have, see what needs to change, and then, it doesn't have to be perfect from day one, in my opinion. Sorry if that wasn't exactly the direction you said, Laurie, but it's something that I saw. Like,
no, it's true. It's true. It depends on, and it also depends on who you're talking to too, because if, and I think it also depends on who you are, who's talking to them. As a product manager, you're probably getting a lot more of that than I would. I'm just a researcher, I have your ear, but I'm not you. So I think I get a lot less. Let me tell you something, and another thing I've got a problem with that you might get in those kind of conversations. Yeah.
So like my discussion guide for I think it was
post-deployment.
Mm-hmm. It was such a mess. Oh my God, if you would have had to go through that, you would have killed me. But, like I knew what I meant, and I improvised on it, but it was,
and that's okay.
So badly.
And that's okay. Like my discussion guide template is a template to start from. And I feel like discussion guides are very personal. I like a good outline. That's how I live. But some people don't. And you just have to put them in there so you can reference it, like you said, for your guide to have that conversation with that person. So, yeah.
I was really happy that you didn't do that and that I did it, because like everything was all over the place. The grammar, the English, the questions were repetitive.
Oh God, no, don't even worry about that. You're bilingual. You do what you want. Like I can only speak English. So if I'm messing up the English, that's a problem.
It was like such a mess, but like I totally went off script all the time. So that was my take on it. And I think it's really good for a starting point, and like take the first interview as a learning point, and then like build on it, iterate, like everything we do in GitLab.
Yeah. The only danger you might face if you keep iterating so much every time is that you don't get a consistent set of questions answered. So it's harder to see the trends or the patterns across people. That's the only thing you might run into, depending on how much you vary between your customer interviews.
Yeah, I totally understand. Thanks for that. This is a good feedback.
And Dimitri, is there
Mostly it
anything,
is.
I was just gonna say, is there
Sorry.
anything that I can help you with the discussion guide? Do you have the list of Orit's questions you want me to put them in there? I mean, I can take a stab
No,
at it.
it is mostly been just for me. Like Orit has already answered my question. I just need to
Okay.
go in, find the questions, put them in discussion guide, done. I think it's like an
Okay.
hour work or an hour and a half. Then
Gotcha.
get the recruitment going, another half an hour. So it should be done in 2 hours. It's just been I've been deprioritizing it because there are other issues that have been asking more of my like how I've been prioritizing them.
Gotcha. Okay.
With that, we kind of roll into the next one, which I want to have a quick look into. I originally put this in the one-on-one between us, or it. I don't know how much time we have left. Let me see. I've got a little bit more. This should be kind of quick. Just get a little bit of a picture on like, hey, what actually is up for me to be worked on currently and in 13.2, and how that kind of relates to, you know, the interviews that are going to come up in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And I know I'm in the process. It's a work in progress, iteration, part of my process improvements. You know, weights to be added in that case, you know, make it a little bit more comparable month to month what I can take on. But as we're not there exactly yet, currently when looking at let me share my screen for a quick bit. Currently, when we look at the PD Needs UX review epic, we already looked at this in the one-on-one Orit. But if I look at like, hey, what needs to still be worked on in 13.1, it's basically these 2 issues, which is fine. I'll get to this as soon as I can. I don't think this is a huge amount. But then in 13.2, the issues that I need to work on targeting 13.3 is these 5 issues. It's implement, blue-green switch deploys, it's set traffic wait UI, add cancel rollout, group deploy keys, state cancel pipeline. The way that I'm thinking about this, I want to deliver on all of this. And I also want to deliver on all the insights like from the UX research, which is probably going to, you know, go into 13.2. What do you think? What do you expect in terms of like what is reasonable to expect, or what do you think this is the minimum I need from you for, you know, 13.3 target milestone, but for you to be worked on with 13.2? Like, because I feel that 5 issues might be a bit too much, alongside with UX research, 2 items, and my additional work in CI onboarding Vitica.
So I'm not going to give you an answer because I don't know the right answer, but we can like briefly discuss the issues and I'll tell you where my head's at. So implement blue-green switch on deploy board. You basically know what we want to do there. I don't think there's a lot of effort in order to complete it. I'm presuming, like, I'm not a designer, so you can say, you're totally wrong. This is a ton of work. And then, you know, I'm going to trust your word. But since you kind of know what I want, just to make it more GitLab-y and in the correct format, that doesn't look like you need to invent a whole concept, right? So I don't think there's a lot of work there, but again, I'm going to be cautious because I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay.
Yeah, I would like to say, like, how I have been looking at this is, even though we sometimes know what we want, it does require to have that discussion alongside with engineering in terms of like, is this going to be feasible within one release? What are we going to scope off? I'm going to detail my design to be, you know, towards that single, like it's going to have a few iteration rounds before we arrive at a solution which can be implemented in one release, right?
Yeah. So this is a top priority item. So I would say definitely this should stay on your list. The next one, I don't remember what it was, but if you can go back.
Set deployment, traffic weight in UI.
So this one is a little bit trickier. If I had to choose of the two, which to focus on, it would be the first one. And the reason is, A, we have a way to do this through the API, so a user can still do this without doing it in the UI, so they still have the functionality. And B, I'm not sure what the right place to put this in is. We're kind of introducing a new concept, which is larger than this single issue, so it needs a lot of thought. So in that sense, I think it's more work than the previous one. It also, you need to like think big before. But again, I'm presuming that I know your design work. I'm just saying this kind of.
No worries. I got a thick skin. Just say what you want and I'll take it. No worries. More work in green. We're here to create the product, right? I'm just like, I'm gonna say this as is. My main thing to figure out correctly for myself is to be able to deliver what I commit to, and it's really a hard problem. But when I got it right, you know, it's gonna fly off the band without a problem. We're gonna, you know, get some real velocity going, even more than we already do.
Yeah. So if I had to push something out, this one would be a candidate.
This wouldn't be, or would be?
This would be.
Would be. But rather not. Okay.
Not at all. That's like the definition of a product manager, right?
Exactly.
Okay, add cancel button. So we talked about this. We need to do solution validation here before implementation. Hopefully we can do a quick one like we discussed, and then we can take action on it. I don't plan to implement this in the next milestone, right? Until we figure out what we want to do.
Exactly. But this is then, let me see, this is intended for, so we are now only discussing work that will touch 13.3. So we're not talking about work that targets 13.2, but it will be worked on by me in 13.2.
So when I opened this issue, and I told you, we added, first of all, to the environment page to take action on alerts. When I added this issue, I just thought maybe this one would be quicker. But then it started this whole controversy. So
yeah,
it wasn't part of the MVC in the beginning. It's a nice to have.
let me see, yes.
It's really nice cross work between different stages. It's great collaboration, but you know, I assume the solution validation will take some time, and then we need to formulate a plan. So to be more realistic, it will probably go to 13.4 than it would 13.3. But you know, feel free to jump in and say that I'm wrong.
I mean, like, let's see how soon I can get those interviews scheduled. I think internally, like, it's so much more accessible to schedule a few calls with a few developers internally than it is to, you know, reach out, get recruitment going, then get responses, then schedule them, and then have the meetings. So I expect here to move a little bit faster. Let me see, group deploy keys. So this is also still up for 13.3 implementation?
Yeah, well, this is one of the quarterly goals for Q3. So it's a top priority item and something that I really wanted to ship out. I think it's in a preliminary state. It needs a lot of design work. In my mind, I may be wrong.
Yeah, it seems that way. Like, it seems a little bit like a little bare, just from like looking at it, right?
Yeah.
Group deploy keys, on the other hand, like, this is similar as project deploy keys, or?
Yes, well, the release team took on deploy keys a few milestones ago as our responsibility. So we've been doing a lot of work around deploy keys, and we did group deploy tokens, and now we want to do group deploy keys. They kind of complement each other.
Yeah, sounds good. Because like if it means that we can copy the deploy keys interface into the group like hierarchy level, then I'd say we're kind of fine on that.
Yeah, we have a lot of work in GitLab across all teams to do group actions. So this kind of falls under that umbrella.
Cool. Let me see. And it is state the cancel pipeline reason in the jobs page in case incremental rollouts were stopped due to an error rate threshold. Yeah.
So this, again, in my mind, should be simple. If you go back to the mockup that I created on that issue.
Yeah, we talked about this one, right? Or no, this is a different one.
Yeah. So you see my beautiful mockup. It says this job was canceled due to error rate, blah, blah. Basically, it's taking the same data that we have on the environment page that we just showed in the previous issue, but it shows it on the job itself, because at the end of the day, what happens is we're going to stop the job. And when the user goes into the job page, it just says cancel and they don't know why. So this is giving them more information. But basically the backend should be already available. So I think it's rather small.
And this is, let me see. So the job was canceled due to an error rate exceeding 0.1. Like you mean the environment, the deployment was canceled? Or is this about the deployment rolling back?
No, it's when you stop. So what it does is it cancels the job. But when you go into the pipeline view, it just says job canceled and you don't know why. So I thought it would be informative to say, this is why, even though we have it in the environment page, but it's just like better.
Yeah, and it is related, let me see, to the post-deployment monitoring research insights, right? Like this has been validated that this is a problem and that we need to do this.
Yeah.
Problem is validated. So quickly going through the others, like from that perspective, UX research perspective, which of those issues like do have some validation from a problem perspective already there? Do you know?
They all have been validated. The one that needs a solution validation is the cancel to alerts page. No, two down. No, another one?
Yeah.
That's the only one that needs solution validation, just because there was a lot of controversy of where we need to add it and why. So I think it's worthwhile to do a solution validation here. And in terms of things that can be postponed, the one above you, set deployment traffic weight via UI, is one that I would be willing to postpone. And the group deploy keys, if you twist my arm, we could probably push that one milestone.
Let me see what I can do. Let me see. Which one was that? Group deployment keys. This one is that. If needed, can be postponed, but rather not. All right. Thank you so much for this information. I can work with this. Let me go over this week, and then in one-on-one next week, we can finalize our approach with this.
Okay.
Cheers. Let me see. Was there anything else? Oh yeah, quick idea. Though we're on time, we can push this on to next meeting, no problem.
Okay.
It's more of like just an idea towards direction pages. Do we have one of those little meeting? No, we didn't. Where did you copy and paste that from, Lori, the other time? I see copy and paste like end of meeting. We went over time, little like some line you've put in like in other meetings. No, I know we have them.
Me? Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure it was you.
I slept since then. I don't remember that at all.
I would just end of meeting.
There you go.
So
make it out.
You had some
Okay.
fancy thing to put in there. You just copy and pasted it out of nowhere. So
Oh,
anyway,
right, I'll
thank
have
you
to
so
find
much.
it.
And I have to
Okay.
let you go. So I got to go to
Yep.
another meeting. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.